Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my sister with her child custody case? My 37 female sister, 30 female, is in the process of divorcing her husband of 3 years. The divorce has taken a messy turn, and they're battling for custody of their toddler. My sister and I haven't spoken in nearly 6 years because she accused me of using her identity to get an apartment when I was in active alcoholism. I'm now in long-term sobriety, but at the time I told her I didn't do it, and she refused to believe me. She tried to have me arrested, but the apartment complex's video surveillance showed it was actually someone she didn't know who had stolen her identity from a place she used to work. She never apologized to me for accusing me of this, and she had told everyone and anyone who would listen that I had done it. However, when she realized it wasn't me, she still didn't backtrack or tell anyone otherwise. Fast forward to now. I'm sober for a few years, and my partner's sister is one of the top-rated family law lawyers in our area. The lawyer my sister currently has is terrible, and she lost custody of her daughter today. My mother called and said my sister called my sister-in-law, but she won't take her case because she doesn't feel comfortable knowing how it would make me feel, or not knowing. My mom wanted me to call sister-in-law and tell her that my sister needs help and to please take her case. I told her no, and that is not my responsibility to help her. I have never met my niece because my sister refuses to be around me even still. She got mad and said I'm an a-hole because I should be willing to help despite our past. For me, it feels like it's not a past at all, and still very much the present. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. May I make a suggestion? Call your sister-in-law and tell her that you appreciate the way she handled your sister. Let sister-in-law know that you'd prefer her not to take the case. And if anyone in your family calls her and tells her otherwise, they're lying. I will tomorrow. My sister-in-law has been such a wonderful support. I'm so thankful for her friendship and sisterhood. You're correct that I should contact her tomorrow. Not a-hole, but info. What did she do to lose custody? She was caught with a DWI last month. Ex-husband called for emergency temporary custody and got it. Today they went to court and full custody was granted to the father. Not the a-hole. Congrats on your sobriety. Your sister has severed her relationship with you. It has been years. Why would you put in a good word for her? Your sister is still actively shunning you. You haven't met her kid. Your mother is wrong. Also, your sister-in-law is not the only good family law lawyers around. Why pick your sister-in-law? If she lost custody and your sister-in-law was her attorney, somehow it would be your fault. I'm assuming that your sister uses her married name. Your sister-in-law wouldn't have known she was her sister. Did your sister try to use your connection with your sister-in-law to get a discount or some other favor? I think your sister-in-law sounds great. I also think that she dodged a bullet and your sister would be a horrible client. My mom said she did call and tell sister-in-law who she was, that she was my sister. That's how sister-in-law knew because I have confided in her my past. She knows everything I've done, good and bad, and knows that I didn't do that bad thing I was accused of. My sister-in-law's a gem, and you're very right. Thank you kindly. Edit. Thank you all very much. I still question myself and my intentions a lot, since I got sober and started making changes to be a better person. It helped to hear everyone say the things I was thinking. I appreciate all the feedback very much. Much love. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not punishing my brother for cheating on his wife? My brother Jake has been with his wife Kate since high school, now separated. They have 2 kids that are both my godkids, and me and him are basically best friends. Our sister Claire has been friends with Kate since middle school. We're each other's maid of honors and still very close. In the last 6 months, Jake confided in me that he fell for his coworker and let things slip into physical affair. I encouraged him to tell Kate and be honest about it so to not live a lie. He told her. She was originally in denial and wanted to work through things, but Jake said he'd be lying to himself, and they are now in the midst of divorce proceedings. He and a coworker are now in a relationship. When I met her, I'll admit it was weird seeing him with someone else, but they weirdly seemed like the most compatible couple I've ever met. They have way more in common than he ever did with Kate. They look at each other with such admiration. And despite how it started, I honestly think they could be together forever. I know I could be wrong there, but that's my hunch. So Jake and I are still really tight. We recently took our kids to a festival together this weekend. Just me and my kids and him and his. No partners. We had a great time, and he was telling me how happy he's been, and the kids seem to be adjusting to it much better than expected. I know it's all a process, but I'm glad he's doing well, and I'm glad to have him in my life. Well, our sister Claire is mad that I'm still hanging out with Jake. She's saying how she can't believe I have the audacity to approve of him being with a mistress. and that I should be trying to convince him to try to work things out with Kate, who is apparently still hoping for that. Or I should be no contact with him until he realizes how wrong he is and makes things up to her. Am I the a-hole for staying tight with him, helping him a little financially till the divorce/child support situation is figured out, and supporting his new relationship that seems to make him happy? I feel bad for Kate and all, but I just feel like they're a case of people who got married too young, and now he found someone who's a better fit for him. Edit. Regarding the child support. Kate makes about double him, and her job involves a ton of travel to where she's gone about 75% of the time. Has been a primary caretaker of the kids most of their lives. She doesn't want a new job post-divorce, so he will continue to have primary custody. Of course, that means the other parent who makes more will pay child support. It's for the kids. He's not pursuing alimony for himself. Your brother was selfish and blew up his family the worst way possible. That's going to have repercussions and fractures. You don't need to punish him, but it is kind of gross he's riding off into the sunset with his new side chick, while his ex is deeply mourning. Don't condone it, but it is not your job to punish him. Going not the a-hole, but with some strong ick. I think the gross thing is trying to manipulate the brother back into a loveless marriage. The end game isn't just to get him to break up with a mistress, but to take back his ex-wife. Why? Because it's convenient for her? He doesn't love her, and familial shaming won't fix that. He's not an a-hole for leaving, he's just an a-hole for not having the balls to do it sooner and cheating. But they weirdly seemed like the most compatible couple I've ever met. They have way more in common than he ever did with Kate. They look at each other with such admiration. And despite how it started, I honestly think they could be together forever. I know I could be wrong there, but that's my hunch. Almost every relationship starts out this way. It's a young relationship, and they're still in the honeymoon phase when things are new and exciting. You didn't mention any major issues your brother had with his ex, and that left her solely because he wanted to get some action. That is so unbelievably selfish, especially since he has 2 kids. In a couple months or years when that initial flame burns out, your brother will probably look back with regret for destroying his family for short-term gratification. OP's comments make it even worse. His brother blames his ex, the breadwinner, by a far margin, for the fact that he cheated, since she was working all the time, but now he's going after her for financial support. So she's off working and making most of the money needed to support the family. He starts an affair, cheats on her for a while, finally ditches her to run off with a mistress, blames her, and now he wants to use the money she was making to build a comfortable life for him and a side chick. If she's working all the time, does that mean that he dropped his kids off somewhere so that he can bang his mistress? Anybody who is able to do that is a terrible person, and I see why the sister thinks so poorly of OP as well. The kids apparently spent a lot of time over at OP's house. OP mentions this in a reply. So not just somewhere, he was probably dropping them off with OP, who if so, wasn't just keeping quiet about the cheating, but actively enabling it. Next story. Am I the a-hole because I want to separate our funds if my husband continues to let his 22-year-old daughter live at home rent-free without doing anything or starting a life? I, Sarah, 38 female, and my husband, Josh, 40 male, have been together for almost 15 years. Josh has a daughter, Lori, who is almost 23. I've been in her life since she was 5. Lori came to live with us when she was 16 and ended up staying with us until graduation. I actually enjoyed having her around. It made house feel more complete. However, Lori has always had a mean streak, which I've kind of brushed off thinking is just some teenage angst. Lori's mother is manic depressive, and there's a concern that Lori might carry this as well. But nobody really wants to discuss it openly. Lori doesn't talk to anyone in the house, preferring to spend her days in a room playing video games until it's time for work. When she does emerge, there's this palpable tension and she often appears annoyed. We get one-word answers and feel like we're walking on eggshells. She does have a part-time job that she seems to like, but she has admitted it's not a long-term career goal. As her stepmom, I've never set rules or imposed consequences. My husband wanted to handle his daughter's issues himself. The only thing I requested is that she helps with the dishes on the days she doesn't have a car, as I have to drive her to work and pick her up. She never pays for gas, and when I ask her to do the dishes, she just leaves them. If she makes coffee, it's enough for 4 people, but she never replaces what she uses. My husband usually ended up doing the dishes to avoid any confrontation. He doesn't want to enforce rules on her either, saying she's an adult and he can't make her do anything. This has been going on for 4 years, and it's causing tension in our marriage. So I asked my husband if we could start separating our finances. I suggested that if he wanted to continue taking care of Lori, then I would give him the money needed for bills and keep the rest for myself. This didn't go over well, and we're currently not speaking. I'm even considering staying with my cousin until we can resolve this, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen soon. Am I the a-hole here for wanting to separate our finances because of this situation with Lori? Any advice or insights would be appreciated. Thanks. Edit. Lori has had her own car since February of this year and is paying for her own gas. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. My partner is 24 years old with bipolar and is a teacher. Bipolar doesn't make you an a-hole or lazy. It's time for her to grow up, get some help, and start paying her own bills. You should definitely stop giving her rides to work and make her figure out her own day-to-day matters. She's an adult according to your husband. Time to act like one. This. Tell your husband that according to him, she's an adult, and therefore it's not your responsibility to support her financially. He's cuddling her, and that's his choice. But you and your money don't have to be a part of that. The most important part of being an adult is telling the people you live with that they can't make you do dishes. Or them understanding that doing the dishes and paying for groceries is a prerequisite for her to keep living under their roof. Not the a-hole. It's time for Lori to get a wake-up call and realize that not everyone is going to support her financially forever. It sounds like she needs more responsibilities. Could you work out something where she pays her part of the phone bill or at least pays for gas? She's clearly making money, so some of that should be going towards you guys for supporting her other financial needs. I had to do this, and it honestly helps me get prepared for the big world. 100%. Lori's disrespecting OP in her home and her father is enabling it. Why does she need to financially support her on top of that? She's an adult and can take responsibility for her actions. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband he's an idiot and threatening to divorce him for co-signing on a $1 million home that isn't ours? My husband, 38 male, and I, 39 female, have been happily married for a little over 2 years. We own a home and do quite well for ourselves financially. He generally maintains the finances for our family. My husband's mother and sister live a few hours away, and I have always felt they were very abusive towards him. They speak down to him, disrespect him, and essentially make him feel as if it's his responsibility to clean up their financial mishaps and their poor choices. Now to the AITA part. My husband's sister and mother have been renting a home from another family member well under market value, at least $3,000 less than what it would rent for now. The owner of family member has decided to sell the home. Mind you, it has been trashed and not maintained by the sister and mother. They have little to no respect for the fact that they have had it so good for so long. The owner gave them 90 days to vacate the premises. Immediately, the sister and mother began asking my husband to help them buy a home. They live and work in one of the most expensive housing markets in the US. Additionally, they do not qualify for the type and amount of loan they would need to even buy a modest home in the area. Lower credit score, no major assets, etc., and they refuse to move to a more affordable area. After a lot of back and forth, they finally asked my husband to go sign on a very basic older home that costs $1 million. My immediate reaction was to tell them absolutely not, and I voiced my concerns to my husband. He is usually very level-headed and financially savvy, but I had to be the one to push him and his family for some sort of plan of how this would all work. To go from paying $1,000 a month in rent to well over $6,000 a month on a mortgage not even including bills seems questionable at best, and a terrible decision at worst. I asked my husband why they can't move into a modest apartment and make a plan to buy in a year or two, but he didn't really have an answer, but agreed that they absolutely need a plan in order for him to engage. Again, after several weeks of back and forth with his family, they had yet provide any solid plan on how they would pay the mortgage, bills, and avoid default. Who would be responsible for repairs? No idea. Finally, last week before I left for a work trip, my husband told me he would not be co-signing on the home and that they had done zero planning. I was so relieved and was able to relax on my trip. Well, I returned home at the end of the week and was taking a shower when he walks in and tells me he co-signed for the home. To say I was taken aback is an understatement. I went through all the range of emotions in a short amount of time, but it wasn't until the next morning that what he had done had really hit me. He chose to make a risky investment with people who don't respect him, and did it behind my back after assuring me he wouldn't. He kept trying to tell me I was safe from any potential impact, but I don't understand how that could be. I asked him to walk me through the conversation, the plans, and any assurance that our own assets were safe. He couldn't. He then had the audacity to tell me, at least I decided to tell you. That is when I lost it. I felt absolutely betrayed and disrespected. I cried and screamed and told him how he cannot see how they use him. I told him I was questioning his integrity and our relationship. We are also in the midst of the IVF process, and it has been extremely hard on me and my body. I told him I didn't think he deserved to be the father of my children, and if we did have children, his family would have limited contact and not allowed around my children. There are other incidents of how they have treated me with such disrespect that even I have distanced myself from them. That is also another reason why my husband decided for us to move away from them. Back to the subject. At first he was remorseful, but then he got defensive of his family. Even though myself and many others have tried to show him how abusive they are. I told him if he wanted any chance of making our relationship right, he was to immediately work with his mother and sister to write a contract that he had majority ownership in the home, so that if they continued to make poor decisions and default, he could sell the house. Well, to no one's surprise, his family would not agree to these terms, because they believe living there is enough to solidify it's theirs. For the last 3 days, I've asked over and over again why he made this drastic decision without a plan. My friends agree that this is a divorce-worthy offense, but the reality is besides this, we have a wonderful life together and I love him dearly. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for calling my husband stupid and threatening divorce over co-signing the loan? Some additional details for anyone interested. His sister is actually older than him. He has managed to keep his financial success fairly well hidden from his family, but due to the co-sign process, they now know exactly what assets he has, and I'm certain they will expect more from him. Before asking my husband to co-sign, they didn't even attempt to take out the loan for the home on their own. I assume they expect that having him on the loan will give them carte blanche on destroying the home, or default on the loan because he will pay in order not to mess up his own credit and assets. His family does not care for me, and are likely jealous at the life I have with my husband and how they get less from him. Though my husband maintains the finances, we bring in roughly the same income, so this is not a case of my husband having full control over financial choices. Not the a-hole. He has shown you to be irresponsible. What happens if you have a college fund for your kids and his family feels entitled? Please do not have a kid with him. Unless he could somehow get out of this mess and go no contact with them, I would definitely divorce him. Even then, I don't see how we would rebuild trust. I would have to go through every single account monthly, and I don't know if it's worth it. The blatant lie and then doing it behind her back, how on earth do you get past that? If they divorce now, then this stays with him. He just lost their retirement/college fund, just gave it away, and will most likely keep on doing it. It's $1 million, with zero equity for him. OP, I am so sorry you had trouble conceiving, but I'm glad you are not tied by a kid to this mess. Not the a-hole. Yeah, even if she loves him, divorce him and separate all finances completely, so she's off the hook for the debt when they screw her husband over. Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter to get over what happened in the past? Original post. So for some background and context, I, 54 female, have one daughter Ella, 28 female with my ex, Dylan, 57 male. Dylan and I amicably divorced when Ella was 4 years old. Few years later, I married my now husband Jack, 55 male. He was a single dad of 2 kids, Jason, 25 male, and Sophie, 27 female. Jack and I also have a daughter, Bella, 17 female. And this story is about Sophie and Ella. I always thought since they were closer to the age, they would get along really well. And I was right. They were like best friends, and we were really happy in our blended family. When Ella was in college, she met this guy Brian, 30 male, at a cafe where she worked. They started dating, and I was happy for Ella. Brian even proposed to Ella in front of our whole family, and it was very romantic. Everything was fine until one day, Ella came to our house screaming at Sophie. She claims that Sophie has been sleeping with Brian. I told her she must be joking. Sophie would never do that to her. There was a lot of screaming until Sophie finally said that she and Brian are in love, and this caused even more commotion. We did have an extremely hard conversation with Sophie. She showed her remorse and was very guilty. We then tried to talk to Ella that Sophie was sad and maybe she should forgive her. But Ella was having none of it. She went on to more screaming and bashing all of us that we are abandoning her and picking Sophie. That is not a case, as I tried to make it as peaceful as possible, but Ella didn't want that. When Ella and Brian broke up, he started dating Sophie. and got engaged within a year. Sophie wanted Ella to be her bridesmaid, but Ella just said, "over my dead body." I thought it was really cruel of her to say that, and she's being petty by holding on to the past anger. Needless to say, she didn't come to the wedding. Rather, she left the city to live with her father. She didn't contact us much except for Bella. I thought she might need some time to cool off, but I was hurt that she kept us out of her life. We only got some insights from Bella and Jason. She only sends me cards on my birthdays but hardly ever spoke to me. I think it was unfair. One day she came to our place. Sophie and Brian were also there. She gave us an invitation card to her wedding with someone named Ray. I don't know much about him. She didn't even include us in the wedding party. Plus, the venue was a 4-hour drive, and the hotels in that area is expensive. We did agree, but at the last moment Jack got sick, and I had to cancel it. When I told her the reason I cannot come to her wedding, she told me to not bother, that she made the right choice by not including me in her wedding, because she knew I was a bad mom. That really bothered me. I always wanted to be by her side, but the place and time she was getting married was just not compatible for us. That was 2 years ago, and she never contacted us again. Then a few weeks ago, my daughter Bella showed me a post on Instagram that Ella was pregnant. She posed with her stepmother with a caption like, "She will be a good grandmother." I was furious. How can she forget her whole family here? So I called her from Bella's phone wanting an explanation. She replied that since I never bothered to be at her wedding, I don't deserve to be in her kid's life. She said it was not just her wedding. She claims I have never been supportive of her, that I do not care about her. She went on to blabbing that she never felt like she had my support, even when she got cheated on, and I chose my stepdaughter over her. I told her it was not fair for her to hold that against me till now, because it was 6 years ago. She has moved on, and Sophie has moved on as well. She is being petty by holding on to something that happened years ago. So did I do anything wrong? Edit. Look, I did not abandon Ella. I tried to be there for her. When she and Brian broke up, I went to her place to support her almost every day. I just think it is silly to hold on to something that happened years ago. I get that she didn't want to be a bridesmaid, but she could have attended a wedding. I never pressured her. Yes, I was disappointed, but if she politely declined, I would have never thought it was cruel. And I tried my best to attend her wedding. We booked the hotel too. But Jack got really sick. We did apologize and promised to make it up to her in some ways, but she rejected it. Now for the top comments before reading the update. You're the a-hole. What Sophie did to Ella was not petty or inconsequential. You shouldn't have supported and forgiven Sophie so easily after her act of betrayal. You're lucky Ella ever kept in touch with you at all. Was Jack really sick? Or was he bitter about Ella not attending his daughter's wedding, so this was an excuse that Opie came up with to justify not going? Why does a grown man need Opie to stay home with him when he's sick? I'm with you, that is a massive BS. How can you even ask if you're the a-hole here? It's pretty obvious, and your daughter spelled it out for you. And I think calling you an a-hole is putting it kindly. You did choose that cheater's side over your firstborn child's, who was the person hurt in this situation. Then fairly quickly you tell her to get over it? This wasn't some puppy love high school situation. They were engaged to be married, and your a-hole of a stepdaughter slept with her stepsister's fiancé. This is some Jerry Springer / Jeremy Kyle garbage. Then you accept the scumbag who cheated on her into your home and supported his and your stepdaughter's relationship. Your emotionally tone-deaf stepdaughter then asks her to be a bridesmaid at her and her own ex's wedding, which should have been hers in the first place if they weren't such a-holes. And you think you have the right to be offended on her saying over her dead body? Let's say your sister screwed your husband and everyone took her side. How would you react? Your daughter rightfully went low/no contact for her own emotional and mental health, offers you an olive branch to attend her wedding. And your husband gets sick, unspecified kind of sick might I add, which means likely it wasn't life-threatening or requiring hospitalization. You were butthurt of not being involved in the wedding party, so you decide to skip her wedding and olive branch over ego. You find out after years of no contact she is pregnant and think you have a right to be involved after all that, after you've repetitively put everyone else above your own child in every way. You're not only an a-hole, but delusional, and dare I say a narcissist. I hope she sticks to her guns and stays away from you. Kudos to her for knowing she's worth so much more than the BS you're parading. Why is everyone's feelings, including your own, more important than hers. A-hole. I wonder if Opie was the former mistress to her husband. Mostly people who support cheaters are cheaters themselves. And now for the update. Hi guys, this is Bella, 17 female, the half-sister, and I'm writing this update to clear things out. Basically, this whole argument with Ella being pregnant happened 2 months ago, and there have been fights and crying from my mom's part. I tried my best to explain to her that what she did was over the line, and she cannot expect Ella to be okay with it after my mom hurt her. My mom still insists Ella is being unfair, and she thinks every other person would agree with her, lol. So I gave her just that. I've been on Reddit for 3 years, and I have seen how many people tear apart people like mom. So I told her that she should post it anonymously on Reddit. I did help her in the steps to make sure she includes everything, but she still left out some parts. I challenged her that nobody thinks she's right after the nonsense she pulled. It was hilarious to see my mom reacting to the comments. She genuinely thought people would be on her side, lol. She read the comments for 3 hours. You guys even PM'd her, and those were a cherry on top. Seeing how people actually see her, she literally cried her eyes out. Though she's still in denial and keeps saying they don't know anything. Well, she had a breakdown of how cruel some comments and the PMs are. My dad came home and saw mom crying and scolded me for airing our dirty laundry, and my mom demanded I delete it. Instead, I deleted the Reddit app from her phone, but now I am writing this for you guys. I must say, Reddit did not disappoint. I have been reading all the comments, and they are entertaining. My mom refuses to look at them. She's a lost cause, but I am here to clear things out a bit. I am the observer of my family, so I have observed a lot of things. First of all, my mom didn't cheat with my dad as far as I know, since some of you were suggesting. The divorce with Ella's dad was amicable, but that's what I heard. My mom has this weird obsession with having twins. She always wanted twin girls, but that never happened. Since Sophie and Ella are almost the same age, my mom pretended that they are twins. I think she created this whole fantasy in her mind that Ella and Sophie will do everything together and have a matching life. And though Ella and Sophie never had a bad blood, they were far from being twins. They were like normal people. But my mom still wanted a twin lifestyle for them. Also, just like you guys pointed out, mom is the type of person who is family comes first. She wanted Ella to forgive everything and be okay with Brian and Sophie, so that mom can show it off to people that in our family, we always forgive and forget, no matter how crappy the other person is. And Ella was ruining that Disney musical fantasy for my mom. My dad only cared about his bio daughters. Though he was never mean to Ella and always loved her, blood comes first to him as well. Jason pretty much doesn't care. He and Sophie were not that close. Neither was Ella and him. I'm close with Ella though. And the only reason I showed that Insta post so that I can show mom what Ella's doing is she always asks me about her life. I thought this would bring some form of accountability from her part. But no, as you can see, I was wrong, and I take full responsibility for it. Second thing, mom and dad did berate Sophie about her affair with Brian. Sophie started waterworks, that she will do anything to gain forgiveness from Ella. Sophie even said she will cut off all contact with Brian. But Ella was having none of it. I think my parents got manipulated by the fake waterworks of Sophie. That's why they kept pushing the forgiveness on Ella. And you guys ask what happened to Jack, my dad. Well, he fell down the stairs and hurt his back. I wasn't there because I was a bridesmaid at Ella's wedding, so I was spending the whole week there in her town. Sophie and Brian were not invited. Jason was out of town too. But I still think if mom made an effort, she could have easily made it to the wedding. She did try to say sorry and offered to pay for their honeymoon, but I don't think that is enough. I mean, it was her daughter, for God's sake. Lastly, my mom lied. Sophie and Brian are not a happy couple. Lol. They look like they are in the brink of divorce. My mom still has no idea that Brian cheated on Sophie with a stripper on his bachelor party. And Sophie forgave him because it was his bachelor party, so it doesn't count. I knew that she also cheated on him at her bachelorette party too. I don't have the evidence, but I just know. A month ago, Sophie decided that she would also try for a baby, and I am willing to bet that Brian will skip town when that happens, or he will not be the father. But we shall see. Also, I am sorry for dragging you guys to my family drama. I just wanted mom to see that she is wrong. She tried to save her behind by replying, but you guys just tripped her a new one. Sorry if you felt deceived that someone else coerced Opie to make a post. So I am being clear once and for all. The first post was made by my mom. This update is being written by me, Bella, the youngest sibling. If you guys have any questions, I will try my best to answer them. Sometimes mothers really are delusional and don't think about the effects their actions have on their daughters. I hope Ella gets her fairy tale life. She deserves it after everything. Sophie and Brian are perfect for one another. Let them be miserable together. The fact that their marriage lasted 5 years is astonishing, but it is now hanging by a thread. If anything, Brian did Ella a favor. I always thought the guy was a bluff. I wonder if the twin life your mother pushed on Sophie and Ella was the reason for Brian and Sophie cheating together. If their lives were supposed to be identical, and Sophie was jealous that Ella is something she didn't, it sort of makes sense, and Brian is total trash for going along with it. I also hope you are okay. Being caught in this weird middle of family drama is hard. If your mom is anything like mine, having a different opinion than her is almost world-ending. Don't let your mom or Sophie bully you into placating them. Wow, so your mother won't take any accountability for her actions, plays the victim, and just straight up lives in a fantasy. Also, someone should tell Sophie that when a man married his mistress, he created a vacancy. I don't think there is a vacancy in the mistress position anymore, lol. But the option is unlimited. I figured your mom out in her first paragraph, as soon as I saw she had 2 daughters named Ella and Bella. I'm sorry, but your mom is straight trash. The stuff that she's put your sister through, just to keep a fake image for people who are probably some miserable, judgy people, is astonishing. Your mom has no clue that Brian cheated on Sophie? You should tell her. It might help her see the type of person Brian is. It may also help her realize she chose liars and cheaters over Ella. Even better, it'll break the everyone else is happy and has moved on fantasy she has in her head. That's part of the reason why she wants Ella to forgive Sophie and Brian so bad too. She thinks everything is peaches and cream. She needs that fantasy broken. I'm also sure that's not the only time he has cheated on Sophie either. I hope Ella's doing well. She deserves the best and more. Has Sophie seen these? She know what Reddit thinks of her and her stepmom? I don't think so. Mom only uses Reddit to see news and political stuff. She doesn't post in her normal profile, so I created this throwaway just for this reason. Sophie doesn't know, and Mom told me to delete the account and post. But I guess I will have more fun with it now. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not attending my sister's wedding after she almost didn't invite me because I'm under 18? My 17 female sister, 24 female, is getting married in the fall. When she and her fiancé started planning things a few weeks ago, they said it was gonna be no kids. I didn't think anything of that at first. I assumed she meant like 13 plus or something like that. But that was weird though, because she never came to me about anything wedding related like she did with the rest of the family. So last week, I asked her if she needed help with anything and asked if she wanted me wearing a specific dress or something like that. She said no. Why would I? As I'm not going. She explained that no kids means no kids. No exceptions. So I'm too young by 3 months to attend. I was really hurt by that and told our parents. They didn't know I wasn't invited. So my dad told her either she lets me come or she's not getting their half of the money. She did invite me, but she made a big show of how she didn't want me there. So I said screw it, don't bother. Since she don't want me there, I won't be. She just shouldn't expect things to go back to normal after this. We used to be really close, and we text a lot even after she moved out. Not anymore though, as I blocked her and everything and I'm not speaking to her. I don't know if our relationship can recover from this, but if we do, it's gonna be up to her to fix it. My parents say I'm overreacting, but this really hurt me. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. 3 months shy of 18? Nope. Your sister is something else. Let her explain to the whole family why you're not there. You are absolutely not overreacting. I just don't understand why she would do this if you girls actually had a good relationship. Is it just the two of you? Are there any other siblings? If there are, how do they feel about this? Is there a possibility your future brother-in-law doesn't like you? That he could be the reason why she's acting this way? Whatever happens, whether you decide to actually go or not after all her theatrics, keep your head high. You've acted in such a mature way. I hope your parents do not force you into going after all this. Yeah, but the problem now is that Bridezilla can now say but my sister was invited. She just didn't come because we forgot to put her name on the invite. She'll likely attempt to spin it to avoid looking like a meanie. I accept child-free weddings are a thing, and couples have a right to choose who to attend. But the way this was handled was awful and mean. To not have that discussion and expansion up front. Yeah, nah. Not a-hole for OP. I'd go low contact too. Not a-hole. I understand child-free weddings, but I truly did not understand why she wouldn't invite her sister if you really were that close. She's having the best day of her life, and she is actively telling you you can't be part of it, and can only begrudgingly come because she won't get money if you couldn't? That's selfish and greedy. Is there any reason to consider her fiancé talked her into not making an exception for you? Maybe. He doesn't like me, but he's never come off as controlling or anything. Info. How is your sister reacting to the blocking and cutting contact? I don't really know. My parents say she feels bad, but she hasn't shown up or tried to apologize through them.